What's good, y'all? We have another Breaking Bad boxing preview and prediction. This week, we have the WBC Interim World Heavyweight title on the line between Agit Kabayel, the defending champion, and challenger Damian Knyba. Agit Kabayel, 26 wins, 18 of those wins coming by way of knockout, 0 losses, 33 years old, fighting by way of Germany. This fight will be taking place in his home country of Germany as well, versus the 29-year-old challenger fighting by way of Poland. 17 wins, 0 losses, 11 of those wins coming by way of knockout is Damian Knyba. Damian Knyba, also an orthodox fighter, so this will be an orthodox versus orthodox matchup. You have a few different things from the size dimension of this fight to the experience and the resume dimensions of this fight that are extremely disparate. So you have a 6'7" fighter versus a 6'3" to 6'2" fighter, depending on how they're listed. And then you have a fighter that has faced a world-class resume, an elite resume, and someone like Agit Kabayel facing the likes of Frank Sanchez, Makhmudov, Derek Chisora. He's been there. He's done that. Oh, Zhilei Zhang, of course. How did I forget about Zhilei Zhang? Versus Damian Knyba, who the best win on his resume is Marcin Siwa, and that was against Marcin Siwa, who was coming off a 3-year layoff and in his first fight in the United States. So these are all things to note and to mention before we get into the actual dynamics and the X's and O's of the actual fight. Before we get started too as well, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, comment, subscribe. Please note that this video was dropped on my Patreon a few days early. You can join the Patreon to request any single fight that you would like in any combat sports realm for a breakdown and a prediction on. With that being said, y'all, let's jump right into this tape study. I appreciate all the support and always will. Damian Knyba versus Marcin Siwa. This was Siwa's first fight in 3 years and his first fight in the USA. He stands tall, but he has a little bit of bend to his work, does Damian Knyba. Will at times smother his own work and can clinch, and he has a variety of clinch tactics. He likes the collar tie, he likes the over-underhook, he likes to use a bit of a shoulder frame. He can jab through the guard, really good jab. I like his jab, both high and low, uses it from long range. He's best at the long range, best at the mid-range, actually knows how to fight with his size that I really appreciate. Knows how to fight behind his range, knows how to fight behind his size. Great feat for a heavyweight, can angle off and punch while angling off. Forearm frame in rare moments, 2 nudge. Punches down really well, good chopping shots. He hurt Siwa in round 5 with a digging left hand to the body. Damian himself could be susceptible to the body work, so that's one thing to note against Agit Kabayel. Siwa would try to throw long jabs to the body, and Damian did a really good job at punching over and chopping over Siwa's long jabs. Good hand feint, works best from the long range, uses his distance and his length. He can flare his guard and float his guard hand a little bit, especially when he's using hand feints, and this can leave him susceptible to straight right hands down the pipe. It worries me that he didn't go through the gears against Siwa when he had him hurt in round 5, and he was essentially a gassed out punching bag by round 6. It was a doctor stoppage that ended up stopping this fight due to a cut, but he really never went through the gears, to get Siwa out of there. Damian was also cut over the head due to a head clash, and I'm curious to see how that healed up with this fight coming up. The cut on the eye of Damian also didn't really seem to bother him that much, so that's good to see that he just kind of gritted through it. Lost his shape himself a bit after round 6, seemed to be taking some deep breaths and wallowing back to his corner a little bit. Damian Knyba's fight versus Joey Dodjko. Good body work, stab and jab, consistently beating up the drum, good feints. His hand speed was sharp in this fight compared to the Siwa fight, in my personal opinion. I felt like there was a gear level to his hand speed that we didn't see in the Siwa fight. Used the jab to catch Joey D coming in the front door and used it as a blinder. Caught Joey D with a few solid straight rights at the end of the 4th round that visibly shook Joey too as well. Set it up with the 1 and then landed the 2 follow-up off of it. Damian can definitely be countered with the overhand right in the windmill punch variety, but that's definitely just due to his height and his overall posture as he likes to stand tall. Fight over fight improvement. He didn't smother his work completely in this one. He kept range and he kept discipline as compared to the Siwa fight where I really felt like he smothered his own work, was way too willing to clinch, especially when things got sticky on the inside. Often throw the rear uppercut, but his rear uppercut against Joey in this fight was absolute money. It's really what started the downhill motion to get the stoppage, and it landed completely cleanly after round 4 and more. He went through the gears to finish Joey, which I like to see in this fight, which I felt like was a bit of fight over fight improvement that we didn't see against Siwa. He was consistently forcing the inside foot position on Joey all night. Played the push and pull game, was always in range to catch a shot and react to his. Now in his 3-round stoppage against Andre Wajcik, he buzzsaw forward, doubled up and tripled up his jab. Good whipping right hand to the body, punching around the guard and catching Andre behind his ear. He held Andrade at bay all night with the jab. The weird thing I do find is that when he does hand feint, he flares his arms out so wide at times that he leaves himself to be open with such a wide target, whether that's in the torso, whether that's up top. Really nice 1-2 counter to drop Andrade, and thankfully the ref stopped it because Andrade was out on his feet, man. So as Damian Knyba doesn't necessarily have big one punch and thudding power, his 1-2 power on the counter here looked really good against quite frankly, an opponent that probably shouldn't have been in the ring. What do I like and what do I dislike about the challenger, Damian Knyba? Damian Knyba, I love his long to mid range. His jab's really good. He can double it up. He can triple it up. Stab jab to the body. Has a long sweeping right hand. His two, when he sits behind it, has a little bit of thud to it. He can put together his combinations when he so chooses. Has a little bit of bend to him for his height. One thing is he angles off and he can punch off of his angles too as well. And I really think he's a good heavyweight. He's not going to be some walkover wash that, quite frankly, some people may look at him to be. And I think the odds are a little bit wide on this one. And what do I dislike about the challenger in this case here? I think he can overly clinch and smother. I think he smothers his own work at times. I question Damian's cardio and I question his shape, especially after round 6 against Siwi. I want to see how he's looking like because he's never fought past 8 rounds. So he really has a lot more question marks than dislikes. How is his chin health? How is his cardio? And how is his shape and base in a longer fight against a big body puncher like Agit Kabayel? So we're going to have a lot of questions answered in this fight here with the champion and Agit Kabayel. And let's talk about him. Kabayel versus Samicki. This is a southpaw to note, as I know that Damian is an orthodox fighter. Great pressure. Walked inside behind a jab, sturdy guard while entering, showed great grit and recovery as he got hurt while getting clinched up and locked up with a right hook and got a succession of punches in round 2 that really looked like he had Agit Kabayel out of there. Put him out against the ropes, and the ropes really saved him because the ref counted it as a knockdown, I'm sorry. And Samaki even thought he got the knockout win because the way he put his hands up, you could tell he was really out there to celebrate. And then he recovered and caught shape really well and came out in the next round and finished Samaki. He went through the gears in round 3 when Samaki was hurt and gas, showed good shoe sign to Samaki's body when Samaki would collar tie him, which is important to note for Damian because Damian likes to utilize the collar tie. Agit showed that he can punch at different moments in this fight too as well. He can go first or he can trade shots with an opponent and land first on an opponent while trading. Agit Kabayel versus Makhmudov. Consistently circling away from Makhmudov's power side. Great jab, both high and low. Consistently stabbing low with the jab. Good mid-range. Was very patient early and didn't rush his work against a big puncher like Makhmudov. Again, consistently circling off, closing the gap with a body jab or a high-low jab, then disengaging from the exchange. He began pushing and pulling Makhmudov, effectively closing and cutting off the ring. Strong guard and a sturdy shell. In round 2, Agit Kabayel did overcommit with a sweeping right hand, and this is something that Damian can capitalize on as he did against Andrade with a counter 1-2. Just something to note. He quite literally boxed circles around Makhmudov all night. The body punching man, the straight right hand, the lead jab, the hooking right hand to the body. Great balance. Long lead left hand too as well. Put combinations together behind sweeping shots and short shots too as well. Great short shots on the inside. He really knows how to shorten them up and not load up. And one thing I really love too as well is I absolutely love Agit Kabayel's punch selection. His punch selection fight over fight is just, it's just impressive, man. He never really seems to throw the wrong shots. So against Frank Sanchez, the Cuban Flash, when I was watching this fight, I feel like this is going to be the best comparable fight for the Damian Knyba. I mean, Frank Sanchez isn't going to be as tall or as long as Damian Knyba, but he's an orthodox fighter that can move. He has a long jab. He will clinch and tie up. He can use angles and he can punch off of angles, and he has a solid rear uppercuts. These are all things that are positive of Damian Knyba. So Agit was consistently on the front foot, putting pressure on Frank and putting him in uncomfortable positions, continuously on the body, just punishing that body. The best I've seen his jab look was Agit Kabayel. He was consistently blinding him with the jab and thudding him with the jab. He frustrated Frank, was in his face with shoulder nudges, forearm frames, and body work. Agit Kabayel did a great job taking steam off of Frank Sanchez's shots, short hooks to the body. He had an overhand right that hurt Frank Sanchez in round 5. He kept dragging down and headlocking Frank Sanchez, which I found very interesting. It physically drained his opponent. Pause. His cardio looked A+ here versus Frank Sanchez. Through 7 rounds, it seemed like he wasn't ready to step off the gas, not once. He cut the ring off incredibly here. Dependable defense, but he can be offset by a jab, I noticed. Agit Kabayel really felt comfortable with his foot on the inside this whole fight here, too. He really wasn't jockeying for position in this fight, too, as well. He really was finding him with his back against the ropes, letting off combinations. And it wasn't really like a boxing match. Opponents meet at a point, they have an engagement, and then they disengage. And that boxing match is those little fights in between these fights, right? The one thing about Agit Kabayel here is he wasn't disengaging at all. He was keeping it an engagement the whole time and just keeping it a one-up engagement in the whole fight. Agit Kabayel was consistently on him with pressure, mentally and physically, consistently on him with body work, and he just made it a consistent engagement round over round. Round 1 was the only round I gave Frank Sanchez where he had a few moments of countering, but the minute Agit Kabayel started going through the gears and his engine started going, it really was downhill. What do I like about the champion? What do I dislike about him? Well, Agit Kabayel, man, he's the best body puncher in the heavyweight division, in my personal opinion. He puts a lot of pressure on you. He controls the real estate. He really knows how to find the spots and pick and choose his punch selection. I think he has far better punch variety than someone like Damian Knyba, who I think is far more of a bread and butter and a more of a predictable puncher. And I really think he shows great covery and grit, as we saw him get dropped by Weili Zhang and come back to finish the fight in the next round. And then we saw him get dropped by Samaki and come back to finish the fight in the next round. What do I dislike about Agit Kabayel? I think Agit Kabayel can sometimes get into these wars where he necessarily doesn't have to, because I think he's a far more skilled boxer than just the war and the body punching leave to be. I think he can overcommit on shots, and I think he is definitely susceptible to a jab that can break through his guard, even though he does have a sturdy guard. And I think he definitely has to put a few rounds in to kind of get the engine going. When you go back and look at later fights, you saw it against Frank Sanchez where it took him a round to get going, and even Weili Zhang where it took him a little bit of time to get going. So ultimately, how do I see this fight going? Because I think Damian Knyba is a very worthy challenger. I think he's a great guy to come over to Germany and face Agit Kabayel for his homecoming. I think the best way that you can play this fight is the over-under 8.5 rounds, and you play the under, or you take Agit Kabayel rounds 7 through 12 stoppage. And here are my thoughts on it. You have Damian Knyba, who's never fought past 8 rounds before. He just changed trainers, so he doesn't have the same readily available sparring partners that he once did in New Jersey. He is now training in Poland. Never fought 12 rounds before, traveling to Germany to face Agit Kabayel, a forward pressure, body punching maniac at heavyweight that has an elite world-class resume. I don't see what stops Agit Kabayel from coming through that front door, beating him up to the body, and realistically just not showing any respect. If he stopped the likes of Frank Sanchez in 7 rounds, he stopped Weili Zhang in 6 rounds, and he stopped Makhmudov in 4 rounds. 2 or 3 of those guys I rate on the same level, if not higher, than Damian Knyba. I don't see why he can't do the same for someone like Damian Knyba and stop him in under 8.5 rounds. If you want to play it a little bit safe, you can go to Bet365, make your own same-game parlay, Agit Kabayel, under 10.5 rounds, where I feel really good about that one too as well. I know a lot of people think that this fight could go the distance, and I do understand why. Damian Knyba can move. He can use his long range. He can pop shot from distance. But all the intangibles lead me to believe that Agit Kabayel can run through the gears and get him out of there early, especially it being a homecoming fight. I'm sure even with the year layoff that he's going to want to get it done. So with that being said, y'all, it's been another Breaking Bad Boxing preview and prediction. If you got to this point, please like, share, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. If you want, please join the Patreon to please support a small content creator. As always, y'all, it's love, it's peace, it's chicken grease. See you guys next time.